have seen like, a very important rule, I'm saying all the rules are important because the rules which I'm covering, like routing and SLAs, are the very important rules, basically. So SLA that we have seen yesterday, we have seen that, in SLA, we have three timelines. One is okay, she's in. Okay, so one that the SLA is of course that we know it, SLA is not a very specific to Pega. It's a common term, through which we can monitor the task, whether they are completed on the timely basis or not. So also in the Pega, we have seen yesterday that, how can we configure SLA. Then we have goal, deadline, and past deadline. And another important thing that we noticed yesterday is the goal and deadline basically, starts together. For example, if let's say that assignment reaches at 9:30, then the goal time, let's say it's 2 minutes, though it will be basically it's 9:32. Okay, so and then goal time basically, the deadline time reaches at 9:30. It will not reach at 9:36. It's not after goal time it will reach. It's something like, it's 4 minutes, means from 4 minutes from when the assignment is ready. So that's why it's at 9:34. And the past deadline is something we have seen that it has a special feature through which we can repeat that particular interval. Like for example, every 1 minute we can just keep on notifying that particular person, or keep on monitor or notify that manager, like saying that, okay, this task is pending, this task is pending, something like that. So that is something, we have seen that. And the past deadline basically starts after when the deadline, after the deadline gets finished. So till now, we have seen about case types for process or flow, properties, actions, flow actions, SLA, classes, and then yesterday we have also seen the significance of class group, why there is a class group. Okay, and then we have seen, right? And so I've just written a definition over here. This is a group of classes, basically, whose instances basically get stored in a single table, where this class is mapped to. And then we have seen about rule sets. The rule sets that rule sets that we have, we divide all the rule sets into versions, where that versions are major, minor, patch, and every release basically, we just increment the patch versions basically. And then we have seen about yesterday, or day before yesterday, we have seen about routing, where we have seen the difference between work list and a work basket. And also we have seen that, where where the assignments get stored, it's depending upon, these are the two tables, PCA assign work list and PCA assign work baskets. So these are the two tables where the Pega basically stores the assignment. So depending upon where that you're routing it to. So for example, if you have routed that assignment to the work queue, then the Pega will create an instance of assign dash work basket. If you have routed the assignment to the work list, then it will create an instance of assign dash work list class, and it will store it in this table, like that. So again, as I said, so it's very one of the most famous interview question. And this SLA one, when this goal and deadline ramp reaches and all this stuff. Okay, so and again, that important one, what is the significance of class group and a work pool? Again, very important question, or very important concepts also in Pega that we should be aware of. Okay, so today we'll see another type of a rule, which is called a decision rule. So now let me follow the application. So now what is happening? So yesterday that I've given you the hint, right? So what is now currently what is happening is, let's say I'm applying, let's say first name, last name, that I'm filling my details. So so of course, and yeah, another thing that I forgot to mention here, that validations too, right? We have learned about validations, which is again a very important rule. So here in this one, we have seen that a difference between a validate rule, and edit validate rule. Again, very important concept that we know, we have seen that edit validate rule, we have to write a Java code. So the Pega has provided many out of the box edit validate rule that we can make use of it. Otherwise, if there is a significance validation that you have to do it, which is not provided by the Pega, then you can write your own edit validate rule. The only thing is that you have to be, you should know the Java. You should have Java knowledge for writing it. And whereas in the case of validation rule, validate rule, which we refer it in a flow action. So in that case, Well, in that case, like, so there is no Java code and all the stuff is needed. All that we need to do is we'll just use that functions, basically like date functions and all those things. For example, we have done it for this date of birth or phone number or email address and all the stuff. Okay, so now let's say I'm applying for a loan, and then if I'll continue it, and then so here it is. So now it's the approval rejection screen, right? So now, for example, I have rejected it. So saying that, for proper reasons and all this stuff, I've written a reason. So, and then there is an email going on, like, which says the loan got approved, which is not as per the business, right? I mean, which is not like correct, basically, not as per the business also, right? I mean, it's something, I mean, if something goes wrong, I mean, if the manager has approved it, then only I know I should send this approval email to the customer. Otherwise, I should send this rejection email to the customer. So in that case, so what we have to do is right now, like, so in that case, like, something that, you want to deviate your process, from one, one way to another way. For example, it's based on the conditions you want to deviate your process. For example, you want to run that particular process or flow only when, let's say if it's a senior citizen, or if it's not a senior citizen, then there's no point of, running that particular process. So in this case also, like, we have to decide, like, if let's say the managers approved it, then we'll go to this email notification. I mean, we'll just carry on like our normal process. Or else what we'll do is, like, if manager has rejected it or bank representative has rejected the loan application, then we have to jump here, this approval rejection, like, alternate stages. Okay, so now again, like, so I'll just put it here. In the case type also, we have seen, like, the what is the difference between a primary stages and alternate stages. Okay, it's an important thing basically. Okay, so now, so we have to jump to this alternate stage, like saying that. So now what we'll do is, like, I'll just open up this process. Okay, here. So now we know about, like, now the simple shapes that we know is one shape that we know, this is a start shape. So every process will have a start shape and will have an end shape. And then now this is an assignment shape. So yesterday, I mean, since 2 days, like, we are talking about this assignment shape only. One is that we talked about routing, right? How we can route it to the work list and work queue. And yesterday we have also placed the Celery over here, like, so this is the Celery that we have created yesterday, where in which, like, we have given like, goal deadline and past deadline, and we are increasing the urgency. So yesterday I've shown you, right? I mean, how that Pega is increasing the urgency. So by looking at this urgency, I can get to know that, okay, so I have to wrap up this assignment first, and then, rest all, like, then, like, I have to wrap up the next assignments or tasks, basically, which is present inside my work list. Okay, so now after this, like, so the decisions, like, there are four types of decisions mostly, like, that we use in our development, basically. So they are when rule. So this is a when rule, and then decision table, then decision tree, and a map value or a decision map. So in the older versions of Pega, we used to call this as a decision map, but now that Pega has changed this to map value. Like, I mean, older versions we used to call a class group, then Pega now is changing to work pool, and older versions for the we used to call work queue as a work basket, like that. In the similar way, like, in the older version. So I'm the only thing is that I'm just telling you that older version's name, because somewhere, like, let's say someone said, like, okay, decision map, so you should not get confused, like, okay, what it is it a new rule and all these things? But no, something like, that person basically means that map value only. Or someone mentioned work basket, so that work basket is nothing but a work queue. So it's everything is basically similar. Only change is that, I mean, the Pega has changed the name. I mean, like that. That's it. Okay, so now first we'll see. So today we'll see only these two rules, when rule and decision table. And then tomorrow we will see, like, a difference between, like, decision table and decision map. Okay, so now what we'll do is, we have, like, in Pega we have one shape which is called as a the decision shape. So now if I do a right click, and then you can see here, these are the different shapes that we have it, like, or assignment shape that we know it. Assignment shape is like, already I have shown you, right? One work object can have multiple assignments, And then like, here it is. And then we can route this task to someone else, and, we can add SLA and all this stuff. And then the second one, you can see here, right, as a decision. And in the automation, we have already discussed about send email, like, we are sending an email to the customer and all the stuff. So we have already used this shape in our last stages, in the alternate stage and then send email stage. So we'll not be talking about this now. So we'll talk about this shape, I mean, now for the next 2 days, like, for the tomorrow also, we'll talk about this shape only. So now I'll just click here. So, okay, I'll delete this. Okay. So I've done a right click. Either there are many ways that you can add a shape, like, either you can go here and you can add a shape, or else that's plus icon, or else you can do a right click from your, a mouse, and then you can just click on this decision shape, so here it is. And if you want to delete it, then, either you can double click on it and then click or you can just single click on also, like, and then if you click the delete button from your, keyboard, like, it will get deleted, or else like that, or else if you do a right click and if you delete it, it will get deleted. And I mean, not with only decision shape, but all the shapes, that whatever that you want to delete. So slowly, you will just get to know all these things, when you practice it and all the stuff. So I'm adding this decision shape here. So I'll just extend this out, and then, okay, I'll connect here. And then if I'll double click on this decision, okay, so now I'll just change the label to is proof. Yeah, just press this. And then here, what type of decision that you want to use it, that you have to choose here. So now fork means nothing but it's basically, if you want to use a when rule. So, you have to use, yeah, you can go with the fork, or else if you have directly expression, that, you can just place it over here. Like, for example, I can say that, okay, that property, that, if its approval is equals to, like, that property is equals to reject, something like that. That expression also you can write it over here, or else the decision table that we will see today. And then there is a decision tree and decision fork we already discussed. It's a for when. And the map value that I've already told you, right? Map value is nothing but decision map. Okay, so what type of, and then there's a prediction and like, scoreboard model. This we, hardly use it basically, so we don't. So the topmost usable decisions type that are, like, it's a Boolean expression. So, a decision tree table and fork and a map value. So like, so we'll see this one, fork one. So now I've clicked on the fork, and then I've just submit this, and then if you just double click on this connector, so we can just write it a when rule here. So you can see here. So I can say label it as yes. And then I can say this is a when rule. Okay, so this is again, the when rule is a different type of rule that we have to create. Like the way we have, like, property section. So we can create a different when rule. So is approved. Okay, so I'll just create this when rule. So here we go. I mean, yeah, this is how actually basically that, when rule looks like. So just go to the advanced tab, where you can configure the when rule very properly. And then here you can just design it a very simple way. Like, so now all that you need to know is the property name, that, where that we select yes, that approve reject. So that property name, uh, what's this? Yeah, approve reject. Okay, so this is the one. Approve reject is equals to approve. That's it. So I've just saved it. So save the when rule. So now, like, and then here you can just add multiple conditions too. Like, for example, the loan amount, is should not be equals to greater than, if it's less than 1,000. I mean, and then I have entered, like, few more conditions. Any past loan is if it's yes. So like that. So and then like you can just label it as A, B, C, or you can label it as 2, 3. And the reason why we give label, so that you can add a logic string. Like we know that our and or all logic that we have, right? So that logic that you can build here. For example, let's say we say that okay, 1 or 2 or 3. That means that any one of the condition is valid true, then it will this when rule runs true. Or else if we say like if we say and like we have like and symbol, right? So now if we say and then if we say and, that means like because normal algorithm, like if you have an and logic, that means all 1, 2, 3 condition has to be valid true. For example, if the manager or the loan representative said approve, but the loan amount is not like it's not equals to, or this is like more than 100,000, sorry, 1,000, and this is equals to no, then this when rule returns to false, like that. So that is what, like you can determine, like for example, we can say that okay, like is this is that this is also possible. So one or like 2 and 3. For example, one means like if it's either this has to be true, or this 2 and 3, both of them has to be true, like that. So that way, like you can do that. So then either the same way we can do it with A, B, and C as well. I mean, like that. So that also, that we can just do that, and only thing is that we have to, instead of that, we have to change that logic to A, B, C, and 3. Okay, so for now, like we have only one condition to check, that is like if the bank representative has that. So that's it. I've saved the when rules, and then after that, we'll just go to the process, and okay, here it is. And then I'll just type it here. That means what will happen is, now let's say in this assignment, if the manager or loan representative selected approve, then we'll end the process. And as soon as this process ends, that we know that there is nothing else that we need to do. Like if this process ends, then the Pega will call this approval wala, this email, basically, approve email, and send that approval email to the customer. But whereas if we have rejection, like let's say if it does not evaluate true, like if it's a rejection, then what we have to do is we have to go to the alternate stage, right? So for that, for going or moving from one stage to another stage, or moving from or primary stage to alternate stage, the Pega has given you one more automation shape, which is called as a change to a stage, right? Like this one. So next stage means it will move to the next stage, but we don't want to move to the next stage, but we want to move our process to the entirely a different, like alternate stage, basically. So alternate stage, or it could be your any other primary stage too. So here it is. So now I'll just process it here, and then if we just double click on it, okay, I'll just change this label to no. Okay, and then the Pega is asking you, okay, where that you want to go staged, right? So now let's say I'll say email notification, and here it is, approval or rejection. Okay, that is the page name that we have, right? So okay, and then here I'm just saying that okay, else. Okay, here, that's it. That means that what I'm saying here is like so this is just a label, okay? So you can just give it anything, So okay, so now what I'm saying is like is approved. How come, like Pega will know is approved? Then the Pega will come here, and the Pega will say, okay, I have to check this when rule. Okay, so Pega will open this when rule. Pega will say, okay, like okay, this property is equals to approved. Then the Pega will the Pega will go here and end this process. And let's say the manager rejected to reject. I mean, the manager selected reject. Then the Pega will go here and will check the condition. Oh no, it's a false. I mean, the when rule will return to false. And then if it's false, then we have given and one more path to decision shape, saying that okay, like if something goes wrong, if there's rejection, then jump here, like and then you have to go to this, I mean come to this shape, and where in which, like we are jumping it to the alternate stage. Okay, so now after this you can have end shape here. So if you remember, like in one of the session I've talked about that in flow, we can have only one start shape, but we can have multiple end shape too. So and this is a case where this is a simple case where in which you can have multiple end shape. Like, here also we can have one end shape, and here also you can add one end shape, so depending upon your decision, you can just go here or you can go here. And this is what the decision shape that we have to use. In fact, normal process flow also, right? And I mean, this is got the shape like a rhombus shape, which we normally determine the decision one. Okay, and then if you double click on it, either you can say else, or else, if you want to write a different when condition, altogether here, then you can choose that too. You can just select that, and then you can just write the different when condition, like when should it go for rejection. Let's say uh, we have like 3 to 4 parameters on which we decide basically, like it has to go for rejection, other than selecting, other than the bank representative and all this stuff. So in that case, we can go ahead with the write the when rule. But okay, otherwise, if it's only that, else, I mean, otherwise only that, only one condition that we want to check, otherwise, we want to move into something else. Okay, so now what we'll do is, like, of course, now I've saved it. So now we'll see it, like, whether it's working as expected or not, or basically that a functionality, basically it's, reached or not. So now it's, let's say, this time, let's say if the person is applying for a loan, and it's fill the details. Education loan, and then let's say continue, and then it has went to this our loan manager, and then loan manager will open this assignment, and let's say he has rejected this one, and then he will just complete some rejection comments, and then he will submit the screen. And then okay, I don't go there. So okay, so now you can see here, I mean, this time, like, we got an email saying that okay, so now you can see here, this time email notification, we are here. I mean, sorry, approval rejection, that, Pega has completed this one, approval rejection one, and we got the rejection in email, like, your loan application has been got rejected. Okay, so now based on that, you can just change the status to, because this is not resolved completed, right? I mean, this is resolved rejected. So if you want, then you can just go to a case type and change the status to, let's say if we move here, then it's not resolved rejected, sorry, resolved completed, it's rejected. So that by looking at, by looking at this status also, we can get to know, like, what, oh, where that, we have done. So resolved, rejected. Okay. And then let's test the other part too. Let's say, for example, so already we have tested this negative part, like, rejection part. So let's test that approval part too, like, whether that is basically, because we have to make sure that both the process, approval rejection, should work fine. So let's say this time I'm applying for a home loan, and then this continue. Okay, and then this time the that loan representative has approved my application, and then approve, and it's a submit. And then we can see that it's a result completed. And then this time we got an email saying that, your loan has been approved. So like that, so this is how, so now, like, we have divided our process. I mean, deviated the process, based on the decision, saying that, like, if something goes wrong, or based on something, like, you can basically, like, go here and there, like, like that. And today we have talked about one more, two shapes, basically. One shape is this a change to a next stage. I mean, change to a stage, or move to a stage, whatever, like that. And then, and then another shape is a very important shape, which is a decision shape. So mostly, like, the 99, or like 100% of the project, basically we go ahead with this, like, with this decision shapes, basically, like, so because every process, like, if you talk about any process, right, which has to need, like, which sure will require basically the decision shape. Without this, like, process, we won't be able to complete it, like, because we have to take many decisions, like, and all these things. If you take any example, insurance company, they're also, like, I mean, let's say I've applied for insurance, then there also, rejection will be there, and we will not perform the same action, if the rejection and approval, right? I mean, we perform different actions in the case of approval or rejection, or or something, like, if in or in any exceptions and all this stuff. Okay, so this is what that we have seen about when rule, and then this is the when rule, and then this is something like we have talked about. So we have a different type of a when rule that we have decision table. So how can we use that? So now okay, so now let's create the decision two. So in the decision rule two, like uh, okay, so now all the decisions that we create comes under the decision category. Okay, so already we know that properties comes under data model category, and then the decision. You can see here there's one more category called added as a decision category, and then inside that already we have created when rule. Okay, and now we'll be creating another decision rule which is called as a decision table. So let's do a right click here, create and decision table. So determine, so I'll just put the name as determine loan status or loan application status, whatever. Okay, so now just to continue and open. Okay, so as a name only suggests, right? Table means it will give you the Excel sheet kind of a structure or table kind of a structure, where in which like I can see here, Pega gives it this kind of a thing, where in which you have if otherwise, and then only one column that you have here is like and this, and then you can basically if you want then you can add more columns, like that. So for your conditions and all the stuff. So like that, and by default it takes at the and condition, and and also like decision table will be useful to check, like for example if you want to know that okay who is my manager, for example let's say on the column we can just check with let's say department, the let's say I'm checking the department. Okay, so this is the deleting the column. Okay, so okay, let's say department, and then let's say I'm saying okay, if the department is equals to IT, then the manager name is like let's say Ankush, like let's say if that department is equals to finance, then that the manager name is something, and then we'll written it. So now whenever the decision table will call, like we check the department value. If let's say the person who has selected as in department as IT, then it will Pega will return this Pankaj as as a manager, and then that particular work can assign it to me or something else like that. Or for example, let's say if you want to check that, okay, whether that particular person is eligible for basically that particular person is eligible for a loan or not. So you can just for determining that we have different parameters, right? I mean the civil score is should be greater than some 750 or something like that, and then he should not have any previous loan taken. For example, I've already taken a home loan, then like that particular person, I mean again the home loan is not approved. His salary, if his salary should be greater than that, his job should be some kind of a job, it should be do that, and then he should not be NRI, you should be a Indian citizen, something, all that parameters. Basically, we can add a different thing, and then in the final that we can just say that if everything returns, then yes, that means like he's eligible for a loan. And then in the and then also we can say that okay, civil score is let's say like a here and there also goes, but still we can just give a loan. Okay, yes, but let's say if everything looks good, but he's a NRI or like that, then we can say no, like I mean there are chances that he will take a loan and he can just fly away, and he'll never ever return that money. So in that cases we can just return, all these things like it will give you a different mechanism. You can just check your conditions based on the properties. You can just refer our properties on the columns. Based on all those parameters, you can determine basically whether that you want to go ahead with the loan or not, like that. So that is something that then, that you can just do it. So in that case, for now, let's say the column that you want to delete it, just click on the column, and then this is the one. Okay, the deleting the column, and if you want to delete a row, then this is the row that you want to you can delete it, and then you can delete that any row. And then yeah, and if you want to add a row or adding a column, so these are the symbols that you can use it basically. So now, like we'll follow the same process. I mean, the same thing that which we have seen it. So now, let's say here, I just want that. property name is okay, I'll copy it from here, from this when rule. Okay, approve, reject. Okay, and then if I'll say if it's approve, if that value is approved, then I'll say yes, like the yes, like I mean it's a loan is loan application got approved, and then if it's, let's say, it's reject, then let's say I'm saying no, and then let's say if none of the condition is also true, then by default what you want to set, that you can say it, like let's say if something, of course in our case we haven't given any option to the user to select any other value, but let's say in our case, like which we have, like by mistake, like set the let's say that a user didn't select either approve or reject, so by default what should happen, either should we approve the loan or reject the loan. So in that case, let's say we'll say that no, like if the value is not true, then we should not basically approve the loan, so we said that no. Otherwise, that means if the values other than this and all those things. So that's it. I've saved it. And then if you want to run, like, if you want to check, okay, like, whether my decision table, that whatever that I've configured, whether it's correct or not, whether will it return the correct condition or not, so before using this in a flow, so you can basically run this decision table and test it, like, so just click on that action drop down and click the first button, run, and then here it is. So now you can see here, now that is approve, reject. So now just enter approve, and then as soon as you click on approve and then click on this run again button, and then you can see here the Pega is returning you, and the decision table is returning you as yes. So and then let's say if you return something, type it something else, and then if you return, so you can see here no. Okay, so that is like because we have given that if something values other than approve, reject, it will return no. Okay, and the similar note, on the similar note, like let's say, like if you have reject, select reject. Okay, so now say again, like it's returning no only. Okay, so now that means our decision table is working fine. So now that we can basically use this in our flow. So this one. So now what I'll do is I'll just delete this shape. Okay, and everything, right click, and okay, here it is. And then I'll apply the shape decision table. Okay, I'll connect with this, and then I'll double click on this decision table, decision shape, and then I'll select the decision table. Okay, and then from the decision table, so you can see here, I have a blue bar here. That means, like if I click on press the down arrow key from the keyboard, then it will give us the decision table that we can use. So here it is on. So this that we want to use it. So just give the label that what decision table is going to do is check loan application status. And then you can see here automatically there are two connection, automatically came out from this decision table, right? I mean, okay, like if you want, then I can show it again too. So for example, let's say if I delete this. So now that there is no connectors, right? So now there is a decision shape, and then for done it, okay, and now okay, is loan approved. Okay, then and then here I'm saying that, okay, I just want to use a decision table here. So now as soon as I select the decision table name, and as soon as I submit, and you can see here there are two automatically, connectors came out of the decision table. One is for yes and one is for no. And why two? Because we have given, why? Because we have given two written, like yes, no. If in future, let's say if I'll add one more, yes, no, or not applicable, something like that, so then then the Pega will automatically will return, like the third option 2, like the third connected to. So now that up to you, like where that you want to connect to. For example, if it's no, then if let's say that loan approval is no, then you want to go here. I'll just here. Okay, then you want to go here, basically, like if it's a loan is approved, I mean, let's say the loan is not approved, then I want to go to this rejection stage. So I'll just change this to the move to rejection stage. Okay, I'm moving into the rejection stage, and then after that, I'll end the process. That's it. I don't want to perform anything else. And then if it's yes, then I don't want to do anything. I mean, because the next stage is basically, doing the same job. So I just want to end this process, if the loan has approved. That's it. So now this is how we can just configure a decision table, and let's use this one. So let's test this, like so whether so already we have tested with the when rule. So now let's test both the process, like approve reject, with the decision table. So here it is. Here we go. Again, first let's say I'm rejecting it. So here you go. So we have got approval rejection. So and then status also changed to result rejected, and let's verify the email. Yes, we got that loan rejection email, and then if we trust that, like our approval process. So now this is, there we go. This time I'm approving it, and then you can see here, I mean, the status changed to result rejected, and then we got an approval email, like that. So this is how basically, like you can configure. So now you can see here now that we have added one more feature to our process, wherein which we can deviate our process. I mean, now that every time every time we'll not jump to email notification. So now we know that when now that we have tell to the Pega also, like when you have to go to the order stage, or when you have to move ahead, with the other processing, other like or the next primary stages, so that is how basically you can configure it, and that we have done it with the help of our decision table, and as well as we have seen that the same, we can do it with the well rule too. So it's up to you, like decide, like if, let's say if you have some multiple properties and all these things that you have it, it's up to you, like